My firm's revenue went up 54% after I got rid of 30% of my client base. And I capped my hours at 308 for the entire year. Most advisors think this is impossible. They think more clients equals more revenue or more hours equals more growth. But they're wrong. And I'm going to show you why in the next few minutes. Because the letter I'm about to share with you is not just a fee increase letter. It's an identity shift. Let me explain. So for years, I operated under this premise of scarcity. I said yes to every client. I undercharged because I was afraid of losing them. I worked 60 plus hours a week in my RIA because I thought that's what commitment looked like. I was one of those advisors really trapped in my own business. Then I had to ask myself one question. Dominique, if you sold your firm tomorrow, how much would it actually be worth? And the answer actually terrified me because if your revenue is tied to your hours like mine was, then you don't really have a business. What you have is a job, my friend. So I decided right then and there, I'm not going to be an advisor anymore. I'm going to be an architect. You see, I had to shed this identity of just being a financial advisor, and I had to adopt the identity of becoming a business owner that gave financial advice. That's because an architect designs their business around their life, not the other way around. So that meant I had to answer 3 questions. Who do I actually want to serve? What am I uniquely good at? And how much is that worth? And once I got clear on those 3 questions, the 54% increase was inevitable because clarity precedes revenue, always. Now, here's what I did. But more importantly, here's why each move that I did worked. First move, I built a service calendar. Now, most advisors are reactive. Clients call, you answer, email comes in, you respond. Meeting requested, you find time. That's not a business. That's called chaos. If you're constantly putting out fires, you'll never have time to think about how to scale your business. Notice that when you go to your dentist or your doctor, they set the next appointment with the expectation of what will happen at the next visit. Now, you should be practicing this same process with your own clients, which means you'll need to think about in advance what that next interaction will look like. So instead of clients calling you randomly when the market is down, you organize a specific time to discuss their investment allocation, their retirement strategy, etc. Because your business will always default to chaos unless you design constraints. So I created a service calendar. I listed every meaningful value add I could deliver: tax planning, estate review, beneficiary checks, risk management review, retirement income planning. You get the picture. Then I assigned each one of those value adds to a specific month. So January was for tax planning, May was for estate review. You get the idea. Now, here's why this works. Clients don't want access to you 24/7. They want to know that you have a plan for them, and the calendar is the plan. Move number 2 is I capped my availability. I decided that I'm only going to work 308 hours in my RIA. That's 30% of my available time. Most advisors would think that's impossible. I have way too many clients. Saying no to the wrong clients is the same as saying yes to the right ones. So I graduated the clients I couldn't serve well in that 308 hour time block. Some couldn't afford my new fees. Some didn't value what I was good at, and that's fine. You know what happened? Nothing bad. A few left, most stayed, and the ones who stayed got better service because I wasn't stretched thin anymore. Which goes right into move number 3. I raised my fees to match my value. Now here's the truth most advisors won't say out loud. You're undercharging. It's not because your services aren't valuable. They probably are. But because you never sat down and calculated what they're actually worth, you haven't done the math. Service calendar times time required to deliver the service times expert level, whatever level of expert you're at, equals your minimum annual fee. So for me, that number was higher than what I was charging. A lot higher, actually. Most advisors fail right here because they believe clients want more time with you. But like I said earlier, they don't. Let me ask you this. If you had to repair a busted pipe in your home and you called a plumber, and you had a plumber that could fix the pipe in 2 hours for $100, or a plumber that could fix the pipe in 10 minutes for $200, who are you gonna pick? Most of us would pick the latter. And why is that? It's because the one that takes less time is obviously better at it than the other one. Clients believe the same thing when it comes to financial services, so don't get it twisted. Your pricing is a signal. Low prices signal low value. High prices signal confidence and expertise. I end up sending a letter to every client explaining the new fee structure, and I gave them an option. Stay at the new rate, or I help you transition to another advisor's. Now, 70% of those people stayed, and my revenue went up 54%. Because the clients who stayed, they actually valued what I was offering, and they were willing to pay for it. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Dom, this sounds really great in theory, but how do I actually execute on this? Here's the tactical framework, my friend. I'm gonna actually give you the letter template I use, the service calendar example that I talked about, and the actual math, which I've given you. All this will be down below in the description. Just click the link below. But the letter is simple. All you have to do is say, here's what I offer, here's what it costs, here's your decision date. Let's talk about it if you have questions. Don't over-explain, don't apologize, that's it. The service calendar, which I'll also link, like I said, is just a simple spreadsheet. Column 1 has the month, column 2 has what the value add is, a description of it, and column 3 is the time that it requires you to deliver it. Once you build this, you'll know exactly how many clients you can serve per year. And then the math is easy. Your annual fee is going to equal the hours per client times your hourly rate plus the value add of that service calendar. So for me, that came out to about $7,500 minimum annual fee per client family. And the easy math is how much money do you want to make per family or household that you serve? Just do that math. So take them, use them, and if you get stuck, let's talk. Here's what I really want you to understand though. This wasn't about squeezing more money out of my client. This was about becoming the architect of my business instead of being trapped in my business. And the 54% revenue increase, that was just the proof, not the point. The point is this: you can't build a firm worth selling if your revenue is tied to your hours. You have to design systems. You have to move on and transition the wrong type of clients for your business. And you have to charge what you're worth. And that requires an identity shift. Are you an advisor only, or are you an architect? Now, if you're an established RIA owner and you want help building this system for your firm, I built a program for exactly this. It's called the Advisor's Blueprint. We're gonna spend time designing all the elements I just told you that resulted in a 54% increase in revenue for me: your service calendar, your ideal client avatar, your pricing model, and a total 12-week execution plan. Because the letter template that I just gave you that's in the description, that's just tactics. Building your service calendar for your practice, that's gonna take some focused work that is pretty hard to execute in the echo chamber of your fears. Graduating the wrong client, that takes courage. Raising fees without losing sleep, that's gonna take some coaching. So, like I said, link is in the description. Let's build a firm worth selling. And remember, operators work in the business while architects work on the business. See you next time.